can you spot the one difference between these two thumbnails that meant this video got over 500,000 views, whilst this one struggled to get over 2,000, even though they cover the exact same topic? Well, it's because video A uses a strategy I call hybrid thumbnails. And when I discovered how this technique works, I used it to make this video that got over 500,000 views, this video that got over 400,000 views, and it's the same strategy I've been using to help one of my clients, Seth, get nearly 50,000 views on this video. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use this thumbnail strategy to drastically increase the amount of views on my own channel and bring in more leads for my business. But to start with, let me show you the biggest mistake most business owners make with their thumbnails that stops their videos from getting the views, leads, and sales they deserve. So have you ever tried to copy a thumbnail that went viral for another channel, but then wondered why your own video gets nowhere near the same views as the original? Well, a few months ago, I tested out a new thumbnail on my journaling channel, and I copied an Iman Gadzhi thumbnail that got him over 3.6 million views. But instead of getting millions of views like Iman, my video flopped. It was a 10 out of 10, and I barely cracked 1,000 views. But a few weeks later, when I went back to this new hybrid thumbnail style I'll show you in a minute, I made a video that was a 1 out of 10, is at nearly 200,000 views, and has so far brought in nearly 2,000 new email signups for my business. But here's the craziest thing. It was only when I went against the common advice of copying popular thumbnails with AI that I had fewer videos flop, and my content finally got seen by more of the right avatars. So the biggest mistake I was making, and the biggest mistake that most business owners make on YouTube, is thinking that the key to getting more views is directly copying viral thumbnails. Because the harsh reality is, if you're a business owner that's already struggling for time, or isn't already an expert with Photoshop, you're never going to be able to copy one of these thumbnails that big creators outsource to pro designers who can spend hours on one design. But that's not even the worst part, because if you only ever copy other people's work, you'll never stand out, and your credibility will always suffer. And when you're a business owner that needs people to see your credibility, this is going to drastically hurt your sales. But how do you create thumbnails that stand out, raise your credibility, but still model elements of what works, so you can make sure your content has a better chance of going viral? Well, to answer that, let me show you how one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time marketed his product with a technique we can steal for success on YouTube. So Steve Jobs was quoted as saying that one of the reasons why Apple grew into one of the most successful brands in the world is because of the company's creativity. But creativity was something that Apple actually engineered. And Steve Jobs said that this was just from making new connections between things that already exist. And that's exactly how you can get more views with this concept of hybrid thumbnails. Because if you want to make thumbnails that get more clicks, you need to combine a few viral ideas together and not just copy somebody else's work entirely. So let me show you how I've been creating these hybrid thumbnails for myself and my clients with just 3 simple steps, so that you can quickly apply this concept to get more views for your own channel too. So step 1 of this strategy is to find an outlier video in a niche you're in. And an outlier is a video that gets way more views than average for a particular channel. This can be a complex process, but to keep it simple for now, the easiest way to find an outlier is to go to a channel in your niche, look at the past year videos they've uploaded, and then screenshot any video that seems to have got more views than their baseline. When I did this on my journaling and mental health channel, I found Rayzu's channel, who is in my niche. I screenshotted one of his journaling videos that has got over 3 million views. Then you want to add this to a vision board. I use Milanote, but you can use Canva or basically anything that allows you to add pictures and links. Now, step 2 is to identify the core elements in the outlier thumbnail. As a good rule of thumb, most viral videos you'll see on YouTube stick to just 3 core elements. You'll have a subject, which is usually a person, object, or item, a background, and a piece of text, which could also include the title of the video. This is what I call the rule of 3. So in Rayzu's thumbnail, I noticed his image featured a journal, which is the subject, an aesthetic desk, which is the background, and finally, there was some text at the top of his image naming his system. Once you've done this for one video in your niche, you want to repeat the same process for another outlier video. Then, when you've got 2 or 3 outlier videos analyzed in this way, you're ready to move on to the final part of this technique. But it's the part of the process that most beginners miss that's actually stopping their videos from getting the views they deserve. So step 3 of this system is going to use Steve Jobs' technique of creativity, and it's going to help you stand out and get more clicks. So all you want to do is combine different different elements of these viral thumbnails together. So when I created the thumbnail for this video that got me over 500,000 views, you'll see how I used dopamine as part of the text. I took that from Ali Abdaal's outlier video. Then I used the top-down shot of the journal that Razor used in his video, and for the background, I made sure to use a different desk design and color of wood, yet tried to keep the same aesthetically pleasing vibe of Razor's image. This created a hybrid thumbnail that felt new to the viewer because I didn't just copy Razor's thumbnail like this. So when you create a thumbnail that feels new to a viewer, but still uses proven viral concepts, you give your video the best chance to stand out and perform well. However, even if you follow these steps exactly, you might still find that your video underperforms. So let me show you what to do if you apply this technique and you don't experience the same success I've had or some of my clients have had either. So here's a harsh truth most people won't tell you. No matter how much social media marketers might try and convince you, there isn't actually a formula to going viral. Because even though I've been using this hybrid thumbnail strategy for a while now, I still have some videos that struggle to get over 5,000 views, whilst I have others that get multiple tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. But whilst there isn't a viral formula for me to show you, the good news is there actually is a way to drastically increase the likelihood that more of your thumbnails perform well. And it's all to do with understanding a simple YouTube concept introduced to me by my mentor, Ed Lawrence. And he calls it the 3 in 10 rule. Basically, Ed showed me that if you look at any top creator, on average, only 3 in 10 of their videos will be outliers. And for beginners on YouTube, that can be even less, with only 1 in 10 videos significantly growing their channel. So what does this mean for you? Well, the thing is, if your videos aren't getting the views you want, you only really have 3 different elements you can change in your thumbnail: the text, the subject, or the background. So if your video is underperforming, what you want to do is adopt the mindset of a scientist. Because when a scientist has a new idea, do you think they know exactly how it works straight away? Or do they go out there and test the hypothesis to see what happens and if their theory was right? Obviously, they test that idea. And that's exactly what I do with my own channel and on my clients' channels. So if I use this hybrid thumbnail technique and the video still doesn't perform, I don't give up. Instead, in the next video, I'll test changing the text on the thumbnail to see if that makes a positive difference. I mean, even recently, I noticed how including the word dopamine in my own thumbnails can be the difference between a video getting barely 2,000 views or a couple 100,000. But if you commit to this scientific approach and experiment with different outlier subjects, backgrounds, and text over at least 10 videos, I can promise you that you will find a pattern that gets you more views. And when you find this, you can work less, because you can just repeat the same proven text, background, or subject in future videos. But the big problem here is, if you are a business owner, you might not have the hours of extra time you need to do all of this work for yourself. So if you want to skip this hard work and want to speed up the thumbnail and ideation process to increase your leads, sales, and views, I can help you. This is all I do every day for myself and a small number of other business owners. But I've only got the space in my calendar to take on one more client to help them with their entire packaging and ideation process. So if you do want my help, click that link in the description to find out more. Well, if we're fully booked and you miss out this time, make sure you hit subscribe. That way you'll be the first to know if I open up more spaces in the future.